Good morning, Boker Tov. Welcome, everybody. Today is Monday. It is May 24th, and we are learning today about the stories of the ancient kings of Israel. We're learning in our series. We're learning in our series about the wisdom of the people of Israel. We're learning about the wisdom of the people of Israel as it is reported in the Talmud. Stories from the Talmud, just interesting stories about what happened in biblical times when people came up from Athens. Athens was considered the seat of wisdom in those days. Morning, Marty. Morning, Rob. Athens is considered the seat of wisdom in those days. You know, the Athenians would actually have this. There's a whole piece of Talmud about the debate that the Athenians would have with one single rabbi. The 60 sages of Athens would debate with one single rabbi, Rabbi Yeshua, and quite amazing the debates between the two entities. In today's class, we'll be talking about various stories, as many as we can get through, with regards to the wisdom of the people of Israel. You know, last week we spoke, or it was 2 weeks ago, before Shavuos, we spoke about the some stories about what happened in those days. You know, we were just digressing a little bit. We're taking a bit of a tangent. The 10 tribes were exiled, and the remnants of the people of Israel were living in Jerusalem. So here goes nothing. Good morning, Terry and Howard and Susan and Cookie. Good morning, Mickey and Andy and Steve here too. I can't tell. He's here somewhere. Okay, good. Whoever else is with us, good morning and welcome to join to study with us this morning, whether you're live or later. Okay, let's do this. So there was one man from Athens who came up to Jerusalem, and he met a Jewish boy from Jerusalem. He turned to the boy and he said to him, Take these few coins from me and buy for me with them food that will allow me to eat as much as I want, and also will give me a lot of leftovers for the journey. So take these few coins, buy me food, will give me as much to eat from it as I want, and still I'll have leftovers for the journey. What would you buy? Rice. You'd buy rice.
It's filling.
How do you know that you'd have leftover?
Cheap. It's filling. It's a lot.
Well,
a few shekels, whatever.
Bag of rice is, And here's what he did. He bought for the boy. Yeah, the boy bought for the man from Athens. Took the little bit. It was only a tiny bit of money, a small, tiny amount of money. You probably couldn't buy a bag of rice for that. And he brought to the man a bag of salt.
Salt?
Yep. He said, you will eat from this and you will have plenty leftovers. And the man from Athens was standing agape in wonder at the wisdom of the Jerusalem boy. Another time, a man came from Athens to meet a Jerusalem boy, and he said to him, buy for me grapes and figs with a few coins that I'm giving you. The boy took the money and he said to the man, it's good that you said buy for us and not buy from me. You said buy for us. That was the words that you said. And don't buy from me. I will do a service for you, and you will also give me from the food that I will buy for you. He's telling him, this is the deal. And quickly the boy ran and he came back with a basket filled with grapes and figs. He then then the Athenian said to the boys, he said, divide the fruits to two. Take for yourself half and I will take the other half. So what did he do? After following his advice, the boy divided the fruits. He gave the better fruits to the man from Athens, and the weaker, the less desirable fruits he took himself. Why did you do this? Asked the Athenian. Why did you give me the good fruits, and for yourself you took the lesser quality fruits? He asked in wonder. And he said, I did so rightfully so, because true, you agreed to give me half of the fruits in the merit of my acquisition, in the merit of my service, right? Nevertheless, you were the one that provided the funding. You were the underwriter, and therefore you deserve the better fruits. The wise words of the boy found favor in the eyes of the man, and he offered him to make a raffle, a lottery, to see who is truly deserving of the better fruits. So they did like a raffle, like they call it a coin toss, right? When they came the result for the better fruits went to the boy. With great joy, the Athenian he forgave, and he gave his portion to the boy. He said, take your portion. You are a wise and smart boy. Go in peace to your home. Another time, the Athenian, this is a series of stories, right? The Athenian said, an Athenian said to a Jerusalem boy, here are a few coins, go and buy with them eggs and cheeses. The boy went and he brought the man exactly as he requested. And then the man who had heard about the wisdom of the boys of Jerusalem, he wanted to see some wisdom. So what did he do? He asked the boy, tell me, are you able to tell me which of these cheeses came from a goat that was white, and which of these cheeses came from a goat that was black? Would you know?
Of course not.
What would you say?
No idea.
You'd be like, no idea.
I have no idea.
All right, let's hear what he said without batting an eyelid, without any hesitation. The wise boy responded. He said, before I answer your question, I want to ask you a question.
That's a joke.
There you go. Maybe this is where it comes from, right? He said, you are older than me and certainly wiser. Therefore, if you can just tell me which of these eggs came from a white rooster or a white hen, and which of these eggs came from a black hen, then I will gladly answer you to your question.
Very shrewd.
Shrewd, right? Continue. The wisdom of the men of Jerusalem was widespread. They had, you never heard of a green egg?
Where do you get brown eggs?
Green eggs
Green eggs and ham.
Green eggs come from a green, no. What do they come from? A black egg?
Brown eggs. I said, where do you get brown eggs from?
Oh, they come from, what's his name? From the one who shall not be mentioned?
No.
Dr. Seuss. Are we allowed to talk about him?
Well, you've seen brown eggs. Not green
Oh,
eggs.
that's right. Woke.
I don't know if we're allowed to talk about
Green
it.
eggs and
All right.
ham.
Persona non grata. Okay, fine. So we keep on going. Who else is with us here today? Good morning, Alicia. And yeah, I can't see who's with us on YouTube. I see, Winston is back with us. Shalom, Winston, and Elaine. Shalom, shalom. Okay, good. We continue our Torah study. And I see Dean is with us as well. Dean, shalom. Dean, sorry I didn't get a chance to say goodbye to you on Shabbos. I wanted to sit with you, but I guess you were gone by the time I was ready. Anyways, good to see you, Dean. Thank you. So the wisdom of the men of Jerusalem was widespread. They had wonderful customs and good deeds, which were also sagely, right? If one of them was invited to a meal at the house of his friend, he would first ask, who else is coming? Who else is coming? Right? And only if he was really? That's not polite? All right, so you'd be okay to go to any celebration. I always ask. Like, what happens if Yasser Arafat is going to be sitting there? I'm not interested.
I don't think he's dead. First
If you
of all,
invite me to your
rest
house
of
for
the-
dinner, and I say to you,
Come on.
well, before
I'm not just gonna be there, I don't wanna go
and
there
you
either.
tell me, yeah, Marty's coming, and I say,
So,
yeah,
forget it. I
no,
don't
thanks.
think-
Look, I'll tell you also, there's something to be said about a rabbi going to attend an event, because when a rabbi attends an event, there's a certain endorsement of the event, right?
Yeah.
Which is why also, there's certain boards and certain dioceses or platforms you're not allowed to sit on, and therefore I certainly need to know. But that's what they did, right? So they would always ask, who else is coming? By the way, what is considered inappropriate today is not necessarily these things change with the weather, right? So he said they would always ask who else is coming, and if they recognize them as worthy and righteous people, then they would agree. But if the person, by the way, had already been invited elsewhere, right? Then what he would do is he would show his folded sleeve as a sign that I'm not available. What does that mean?
I have no idea.
There's certain hand expressions, when somebody gives you a sleeve. There's no expression for a sleeve.
No, not in this country.
Okay,
Maybe-
as opposed to the bird. Bird is not a compliment, right?
Really, you wouldn't want to sit down at a dinner with the head of Hamas and take an opportunity
To
to.
stick a fork in his eye. Sorry.
So one of the great men, one of the men of Athens. Wow, that's interesting. When you think about Athens, they think about Athens. That Athens is a place of wisdom. Imagine if the Talmud would say, a man from California came. What would you think about a man? What do you think about a Florida man? What do they say about a Florida man? Florida man is known in the news as like a doofus, right? It's like somebody like the stupid thing. But a man from California, what do you think of a man from New York? What do we represent as a culture? Think about it. Athenians is wisdom. California, I don't know. He knows how to act.
Lay down.
He knows how to write script for a movie. I don't know. What does he know how to do in California?
Goes to the beach.
He goes to the beach. He's a surfer. He's a surfer, right? Oh, the surfer, right? The question is, what is our generation known for? Right? What is our contribution to the great chain of the history of mankind? Think about that, right? What is?
Our generation is being known for Mashiach.
Oktazai, Mashiach. Mashiach is coming in our generation. Exactly right. Beautiful. And why is that? Because we're the bottom of the barrel. Okay.
He turned to turning everything.
Look,
He's
you,
in the mood. He's in the mood.
you can't lift up a house unless you can't lift up something heavy unless you hold it from the bottom, right? If you're going to raise all of mankind to the coming of Mashiach, you got to be at the very, very bottom. There's a merit to being at the bottom of the barrel, right? Okay. So there was a man from Athens who came to Jerusalem and he recognized the inhabitants. He saw that they were so wise. And he became angry, envious, and jealous that they were living in such peace and calm. At every opportunity, he tried to mock them and to embarrass them. His Jewish neighbors didn't like him. And one day they decided to teach him a lesson that he would never forget. Incidentally, there's another story in the Talmud about a man came from Athens and he asked a Jewish boy in the crossroads, he sees Jerusalem. He says to him, which is the way to Jerusalem? To the city. So he says, well, that's the way that's long but short. This way is short but long. The guy was like, what? Long but short, short but long. The guy only needed to hear short. He didn't need to hear short. So he went, I'm going to go the short but long way because it sounds like it's short. You know, we always see what's written at the beginning. If it's $9.99, then it means it's not $1,000, right? Because we see the 9, it means it's less than 1,000, right? Our minds are, we see things by clipper, right? Of course, right? So we tend to judge things book by its cover, right? So if you see short, we don't read the rest of what's inside, short but long. So he goes short but long, and he sees there's a shortcut. The stuck in the city's right there. He goes there, comes back an hour later, bloody, torn clothing. Thorn bushes, everything. He realizes, he comes to the boy. He's like, why did you lie to me? You told me that was a short way to Jerusalem. He said, I told you it was short but long. You want to get to the city, that's long but short. This one's going to go around about route, but you're going to get there. Right?
Not bloody. Not bloody.
Right. Which actually is connected to Tanya, because Tanya starts off with 2 routes to serve God in a meaningful way. One is a short but long, and one is long but short, right? One is the long but short way is through meditation, through creating meditation, arousing meditation that will inspire your heart. The short but long way is the one that is arousing your hidden love, arousing your natural love within you. Whatever. Okay.
You know, the great philosopher Yogi Berra once said, when you get to a fork in the road, take it.
Okay, sounds good to me. So they had to teach. So they had to teach this Athenian a lesson. How are they going to teach this Athenian a lesson? Here's what they did. One day, when he went out for a walk, one of his Jewish neighbors decided to join the Athenian Gentile. As they were walking at the outskirts of the city, the shoelace of the Jew tore. And he tells the Athenian, he says, come with me, let's go to the sandlar. Sandlar is a sandaler. Right? Sandaler is the name for a shoemaker, a cobbler. Right? So he'll fix my lace. They go together to the sandlar. What? No. A sandal is a sandal, right? In Hebrew, a sandal, right? So a sandlar is a person that is in charge of shoes. By the way, the Roman sandals had laces. Yeah, I mean, they went all the way up to the knee. Yeah. Anyways, so that doesn't mean he was wearing a sandal. He was wearing a lace. Who cares? Akasha Famaisa. You know what I mean? A question on a story. You know?
Everyone's in the mood.
What was he wearing? What color shirt was the guy wearing? I don't know. I'm not sure.
I think you're too much caffeine.
No, which time?
You should know, Rob, when I start davening on time, I'm relaxed. I'm peaceful. Today I had a bit of a mishap here. Yeah, my daughter's ride, the guy forgot to take the exit. Yeah, I had no choice. So yeah, it's my head is spinning. Good morning, Jeffrey. Jeffrey, everybody relax. Take a deep breath. Morning, Jeff Rambaum. He's our dear friend and attorney here. Jeff, good to see you, man. Okay, so we're trying to teach this Athenian a lesson. We learn about the wisdom of the men of Jerusalem, right?
So we're in the shoemaker.
So they had this anti-Semite in Jerusalem, and the Athenian is taking a walk with his Jewish neighbor. The Jewish neighbor breaks his shoelace. So they go together to the cobbler. And the Jerusalemite says to the cobbler in front of the Athenian, he says, I tore my lace. Would you mind fixing it for me for 1 golden shekel? Why not? Sit down. I'll fix it for you. I'll make it good as new. After he fixed him and he paid him a full golden shekel, they took care of him walking. And then guess what happened? Lo and behold, the second lace broke on this Jew. And he comes back to fix it again for a full golden shekel. The Athenian who sees this massive amount of money that's being earned for 2 laces was shocked. He says, he thought to himself, if only 2 shoe repairs, he's paying so much money, how much will they pay for new shoes? And he decided to ask the Jew. He said, tell me, my friend, what do you think? Why make money if I bring shoes, if I import shoes from my land, from Athens to Jerusalem? This is the question he was waiting for, right? He's taking the bait, right? So he said, exactly. He says, there's no doubt that it's a very, very good idea. Nobody thought of this before. You've seen how much we're willing to pay for lace repairs. How much? But you should know one thing: that if you are willing to sell shoes, you must do so with a bald head and with ash upon you. You got to be covered in ash, and that is because if you don't have ashes upon you and a bald head, no one's going to buy shoes from you. Okay. The man heard these words and he thinks to himself a little bit. He says, look, nothing's going to happen to me if I shave my head and I wear weird clothes for a while. I'll be a wealthy man in the merit of these idiots, these Jerusalemites that are willing to pay so much money for shoe repairs. Hurries to his land, shaves his hair, puts on these weird clothes covered in ash, and he brings many, many shoes with him to Jerusalem. Stands at the street corner in this weird clothing and attire, and obviously, which wasn't just weird, it was off-putting, obviously. And he starts to sell shoes. People gathered around him and they asked him, no, how much are the shoes? He says, 100 golden shekels for 1 pair. They said to him, they started shaking their heads. So like, this guy's insane. And they said, I guess you look at him and you realize he's obviously insane, right? It's got to be Nebuch. He probably lost his mind, and that's why he's asking for so much money for a pair of shoes. And they started mocking him, and nobody obviously bought anything from him. After a long while, he suddenly dawned upon him that the whole thing was an elaborate setup, and was to teach him a lesson that there's no one as wise as the Jewish people in general, and the men of Jerusalem specifically. Another Athenian, got a bunch of stories here. Another Athenian who wanted to make fun of the Jews and to prove that they don't actually know how to answer wisely always. One time when he found on the street corner a broken pestle. How do you mortar and pestle? So he found the broken. A pharmacist, right? He found the broken pestle. He picked it up and he took it to a tailor. And he asked the tailor, "Would you be able to sew this pestle for me, please?" Is that how you say pestle or pestle? Pestle. Okay.
Mortar and pestle.
No, pestle? You spell it pestle.
Yes, we don't really say
P-E-S-T-E-L, but the T is silent.
Oh, interesting. Even my attorney didn't know that. Okay, that's good.
Wait, and the pestle is the instrument, and the mortar is
Right, the mortar
dish.
is the-
So the pestle is the thing that you hit with. Okay, the stick.
Wood. You crush.
He's setting him up. He took it to the tailor to say, "Can you sew this pestle for me? The stick, the stone. Can you sew the stone?" So what would you answer the guy? Let's see what he says.
My father would have said, yes, come back Thursday.
Right.
Businessman, right? Always say yes, right? So the man leans over, takes the the tailor sees the broken metal, and he realized right away the man was trying to make fun of him. He leans over, he took about a bit of earth from the sand, a bit of sand from the earth. He gave it to the Athenian and he said, "Do me a favor, please thread for me 2 threads from this earth, and I will immediately sew for you this broken pestle that you request." One of the men of Jerusalem came to Athens, and he was looking for a place to sleep at that night. He was looking for a hotel. In one of the hotels that was in the city, I guess in those days, hotels were like, you didn't get a room, you got a bed, right? And you never knew who else was in the room, right?
Or in the bed.
Well, I guess you got one bed, I guess. What was that, Steve?
It was like in a sunny up north.
Yeah, it was kind of like what do you call that? Like a hostel. There you go. All right, good. Okay. So he told him all the rooms are booked, but there's only one room with one available bed in it still. That room had already had 3 other guests that didn't want to sleep together with a Jew. Let's be smarter than him, they said. And they said to the Jew, the Jerusalemites, "Welcome to our room, man of Jerusalem. If you want to sleep in our room, then you have to jump 3 big jumps backwards, as is the custom of the men of our of our country. So the Jerusalemite understood that they were making fun of him, but he played. Gemacht sich nicht wissendig. You know what that means? Zu machen sich nicht wissendig. He made himself like he doesn't know. He played stupid. Like a nar, right? Macht sich nicht wissendig, right? He played stupid, and he said, it sounds like a deal. The only thing is, you have to show me the way of the land, right? You have to show me how it's done, right? And as he said this, he started to jump. With the first jump, he jumped to the middle of the room. The second jump, he came to the door of the room. And as the Athenians were laughing all at him, what an idiot he is, right? That he's doing these jumps already. To see how they wanted to see how he does his third jump outside of the room, right? So they went ahead of him outside of the room to see to get a proper view of the third jump, right? He quickly hurried and he locked the door behind them, and thus he had the room. They were locked outside, right? And knocking on the door all night, embarrassed of their stupidity. Put the schlüssel on the schloss, exactly. 3 men of Jerusalem went to Athens, and they stayed in the house of one of the residents of the place. The household owner received them, welcomed them with grace, and he gave them food and drink, and he offered them a bed to sleep. In the middle of the night, the Athenian. So 3 men from the Jerusalem came to Athens, right? That's what happened. They came to Athens. And in the middle of the night, the Athenian host woke up in the middle of the night, and he went secretly to the room of the guests in Jerusalem. He heard a lot about the wisdom of the men of Jerusalem, and he wanted to hear what they're talking about and to see if there's any truth to these rumors. He put his ear to the door, to the schlüssel, to the door lock, right? And he heard the 3 men talking between themselves. One of them said, "The legs of the bed that we're laying on are broken. I feel as if there's a rope at the head of I feel like I'm laying on a ship, basically. I feel like I'm laying on a ship, and not exactly right. Even before the what's it called, the household employee, whatever, the host, even before the host was able to gather his wits from his surprise from what they were saying. The second one saying, even the food that we ate wasn't regular food. Inside the wine, there was the taste of death. And even the meat wasn't regular. I tasted the taste of dogs. And the third one began to talk while the host was like stunned, right? To realize that we're laying on a broken bed is really not a big chachma. It's not a big deal to realize you're laying on a broken bed. But he asked, right? But how would you know about the taste of death in the wine and the taste of dogs in the meat? I served my regular meat and wine. Let me tomorrow go check. He said to himself, this is the host saying to himself. He says, I'm going to go check and see what the story is. Very curious. The Athenian host went to the guy who sells him wine, and he asked him if he can buy more wine that he bought from yesterday. The wine is gone, but I have 1 cup left of it, said the seller. Tell me, where did you get this amazing wine? I'm not surprised if you sold all of it. I've never tasted such good wine in my life, right? He's trying to work out the origins. So the wine seller, because he was trying to ingratiate himself upon him, right? To try to, what's it called, to exactly. He's trying to earn his graces, to compliment him, to schmear him, right? And indeed, that's exactly what he got, because the wine seller said to him, who loved the compliments, people love compliments, right? And he told him, I actually planted a vineyard on the grave of my father. And when there wasn't any wine in my cellar, I made wine out of the vines that came out of the grave. And this is the wine that was so sweet to your palate. Shocked by the greatness of the wisdom of the Jerusalemites, he then went to the butcher where he bought the meat. I'm a little surprised how the Jerusalemites ate non-kosher wine and meat.
I was thinking
right?
that too.
So shocked, he went over to the butcher, and he asked him where was the tasty meat that he bought from yesterday. There wasn't even left over 1 piece left to the butcher. It's got to have been truly amazing. And then he added, Do you know why it has such an amazing taste? Because I had a soft or young lamb, and when its mother died, and it was left with that food.
Ate a dog.
No, hang on, no. When the mother of the baby calf died, and she had nowhere to nurse milk from, she would nurse milk from the female dog in my house, right? And it was this lamb that I slaughtered, and I sold you her meat. Deep in thought, the Athenian returns to his house, and he says, "Incredible! There's no wisdom like the men of Jerusalem, and anyone who doesn't want his secrets to be revealed should not allow these men into his house." Anti-Semite, right? How do you turn something positive into something negative, right? Right. One of the men of Jerusalem came to a faraway city.
Oh, we still learn about the bed, rocking and rolling.
Well, he said that was. You don't need to be a rocket scientist to figure that one out.
Right.
It's like,
He didn't bother with that part.
yeah, exactly. One of the men of Jerusalem came to a faraway city, and he became sick with a very dangerous illness. Days passed by, and the Jew became weaker and weaker until he realized that his end is near. He called the owner of the hotel where he was staying in, and he said to him, "I'm very, very sick, and I know that I'm going to die soon. All my silver and gold is here with me, and now I am depositing all of it with you until my son will come to take from you my wealth, my possession. How will you know he is my son? You will test it. If you will see in him 3 acts of wisdom, know that he is my son, and give him everything that is mine." Now, the owner of the hotel was a good man. He calmed down the dying man, and he promised him to fulfill his dying wish. Not a long time passed by, and the Jerusalemite died. He was buried in that city, and all of his wealth was now deposited in the escrow account of the hotel owner. Yeah. The son of the Jerusalemite saw that his father is not returning from his journeys, and he decided to go out and look for him. Maybe something terrible happened to his father. Maybe he lost his money and he can't return home. So he went looking for his father. When he came to the city where his father died, he heard from the passers-by that his father had died. Where was he in his final days? The son asked. Nobody wanted to tell him which hotel his father had been staying in and which place he had died. What did he do? He goes to a person who sells wood, and he asked him to sell him a bundle of wood. Bring the wood. Then he tells him, deliver the wood to your hotel, and there I will pay you your payment. And the man proceeded to fulfill the request. Right? So basically, nobody wanted to tell him where the hotel was, I guess. So this is his way of finding out where the hotel was. Now, the hotel owner was surprised to see the wood arriving to him, and he asked the owner, the seller of wood, who told him to bring so much wood here. It was a strange strange young man who asked to buy the wood, and he told him to deliver them to the hotel in our city. Even before he was able to ask the question to the young man, what is he doing here? The young man said like this: I am a stranger in the city. I wanted to know where is the hotel, and nobody wanted to tell me. Therefore, I decided to find it using the seller of the wood, because I figured he's going to want to get paid, so he's not going to have a problem telling me where it is in a roundabout way. So the wisdom of the young man found favor in the eyes of the hotel owner, and he invited him to stay at his house, stay in the hotel. When he asked him where he lived, and he asked him about his father, the young man said, my father stayed in your hotel. I heard that he died, and I came to you to receive his gold and silver, his possessions, which he left for me. When he heard these words, the hotel owner remembered the old man and the dying wishes of his, and he decided to make a test for the wisdom of the boy. During the meal, he ordered 5 different kinds of poultry, cooked poultry, spiced poultry, to be served for the members of the family and to this guest. And he asked the boy, the young man, to divide them between the people around the table. The boy took the 5 birds, he looked at the people sitting around the table and he divided them in a strange way. One bird he gave to the hotel owner and his wife. One bird he gave to the two daughters of the hotel owner, and one he gave to the two sons of the hotel owner. And the two remaining birds he took for himself. So one bird to share mom and dad, one bird to share the daughters, one bird to share the sons, and two birds he took for himself. That in the evening meal, one bird was served to all of the people around the table. And also this, the owner, the host asked of the young man to divide between the members of around the table. The boy took the bird, he cut it into parts, and he gave everybody a piece of the chicken, right? For the owner of the hotel, he gave the head. To his wife, he gave the innards. The wings he gave to the girls. The legs he gave to the sons. And for himself, he took the empty body. I'm not a bird biologist, but he took the empty body, whatever that is, right? The empty, I guess, he probably meant the main part of the chicken, right? After they ate and were satisfied, the owner of the hotel asked his guest why he divided the chickens the way he did. He said, I have no doubt that you were very calculated in what you did, and I'd like you to explain it to me why you did it this way. I'll gladly explain it to you, said the boy. And he said like this: at lunchtime, you gave me 5 birds. You, sir, was sitting next to your wife. So I gave you 1 bird because together, you, your wife, and the bird were 3. To your 2 daughters, I gave 1 bird because they were also 3. To your 2 sons, I gave 1 bird because they were 3. But for me, I'm sitting by myself, I gave 2 birds, so we should also be 3. In the evening, when you gave us all 1 bird, the head I gave to you because you are the head of the household. Your wife, I gave the innards, right? Because from her came out the children. To the daughters, I gave the wings because they are the ones that are destined to fly out when they will be married, right? They marry, they join another family. To your sons, who are the foundation of the home, I gave, they carry the family name. I gave them the legs, and for the body, which is similar to a boat, I took for myself as a sign that on a boat I came to here, and I am soon to return on a boat. The words of the young man found favor in the eyes of the host. He is wise, and just like his father, he thought in his heart, and he decided to give him the gold and the silver that it was left for him before his father died. You passed the test. You are wise and sage-like, like your father, and your father will be very proud of you. Take the money and go in peace on your journey. And he sent him with joy with the wealth of his father.
Did he pay for the wood?
I imagine he paid for the wood.
Did you give him a tip?
That's very important. You got to give him a tip. I guess you got to give him a tip. Good morning, Miriam.
The guy held the money.
And Dan Dubansky is with us as well. Yeah, so that's it, folks. That was the end of the Torah study today. Yeah, that's the thing. The stories from the Talmud, from the Medrash about the wisdom. Any favorite stories over there? Anything stands out for you?
Lovely story.
Don't plant vineyards over graves, right?
That's amazing.
Don't make fun of the Jews.
Well,
But the Jews are blessed with extra wisdom, right? The Jews are known to be wise. Why are we wise?
people of the book.
So this anti-Semite, he hears that the Jews are very wise. So he asks, the one Jew that he knows, he says, tell me, what's the secret to the Jewish wisdom? So he says, if you really want to know the secret, I'm your friend, I'll tell you. He says, the corner store over there, every day, we buy a pickle. Every single day. Well, I think he was the pickle store owner, right?
Obviously.
He says, every day we buy a pickle. That's the secret of our wisdom. Fine. For 3 months straight, he buys a pickle, this guy. And eventually he comes to the Jew and he comes back to him and he says, I don't understand. Why do you tell me to buy a pickle here? If I go 2 blocks down, I could buy it for 30% less. So he says, see, it's already working. Yeah. Anyways, we've been blessed with the wisdom. The question is, what are we doing with that wisdom? The nations of the world, they know that we have that wisdom. Are you using that wisdom to play golf? Are you using that wisdom for canasta and bridge? Or are you using that wisdom for Torah? That's the big question, right? That's the big question. You're using it. Obviously, I'm preaching here to the choir.
Torah.
I am preaching right now to the choir, quite literally. But we have to take advantage of the resources that we've been given, because one day when you stand before Hashem in heaven, He's going to say to you, "Look, I gave you God's gift to mankind. I gave you the Torah. I gave you godly wisdom, and I gave you the tools to be able to study it. What did you do with it? You played golf with it. It's like I gave you a Mercedes Benz and you used it to, used it as a picnic table. Like, I mean, seriously, like, what are you wasting the resources I've given you? Let's take advantage of what it is that Hashem has given us. Let's make sure we study Torah every single day. Friends, I'm going to end it over here. Shalom. Have a wonderful day. Thank you for joining me here today.
It's like the old adage, opportunity knocks,
Knocks, right?
but you have to open the door.
That's it.